My name is Natalie Brooks. I'm 33 years old, a senior auditor, and I have a spreadsheet tracking every dollar I spend, down to my morning coffee. But the day I received my first major performance bonus, $18,500, my family turned it into a gender reveal party for my cousin's baby, using my money. No one asked, no one told me. I stood in the middle of a round of applause for a generosity I never gave, and that was only the beginning. Before I share my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. If you've ever had to stand up for your own worth or break free from toxic family patterns, hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The notification pinged on my phone at 11:47 p.m. Another late night at the office. Another spreadsheet bleeding red with discrepancies. But this time, the message wasn't from my manager. It was from the bank. 18,500 deposited. Performance bonus. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. 3 years of 80-hour weeks. Of missing birthdays and holidays. Of becoming the youngest senior auditor at Morrison & Associates. 3 years of proving I was more than just Natalie Brooks, the girl who started balancing her mother's checkbook at 11 because Mom gets confused with numbers, sweetie. My fingers trembled as I texted Mom. Got my bonus. Finally. The response came instantly, as if she'd been waiting. My successful girl. Dad and I are so proud. Come to dinner Saturday. We're planning something special for you. Something special. The words should have warmed me, but instead, they settled in my stomach like ice water. The last time my parents planned something special for me was my 14th birthday. I'd saved babysitting money for months to buy myself a camera. When I came home from school, the camera was gone, replaced with a birthday card containing an IOU. For family emergencies, Mom had explained, her cigarette trembling between her fingers. The emergency, I learned later, was Dad's poker debt, but I was 33 now. Things were different. I was different. I transferred $2,000 to my savings and left the rest in checking. Just in case they needed. No. I stopped myself. This bonus was mine. I'd earned it by exposing corruption that saved the company millions. For once, I'd celebrate my own success. Saturday morning, I stood in the wine shop, running my fingers over bottle labels. The saleswoman recommended a Chateau Margaux 2015. Special occasion? She asked. My family's celebrating my promotion, I said, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. Lucky you, she smiled. Not everyone has family who shows up. I bought 2 bottles and drove to my parents' house in Highlands Ranch, the Denver skyline disappearing in my rearview mirror. Mom's sedan was in the driveway, freshly washed. Dad's truck gleamed beside it. Even the lawn was manicured. They'd hired someone. My chest tightened with something I couldn't name. Hope, maybe. The front door was unlocked. I pushed it open, bottles clinking in my bag, and called out, "I'm here!" Silence. Then from the backyard, an explosion of voices. Surprise! Pink and blue streamers assaulted my vision as I stepped onto the back patio. A massive banner stretched across the fence. "It's a boy! Brought to you by Auntie Nat." 90 faces turned toward me. Cousins I hadn't seen in years. Dad's work buddies, Mom's book club, and in the center, my cousin Brittany, glowing in a flower crown, her hands cradling her belly. There she is! Mom rushed forward, crushing me in a hug that smelled like White Diamond's perfume and Marlboro Lights. Our angel investor! The wine bottles grew heavy in my hands. Mom, what is this? Brittany's gender reveal. Didn't you get my texts about the party? She was already pulling me toward the crowd. Everyone, give it up for Natalie. She made this whole thing possible. The applause hit me like a physical force. Brittany waddled over, tears streaming down her face. Nat, I can't thank you enough. When Aunt Linda said you insisted on covering everything, the catering, the decorations, even the photographer, I just couldn't believe it. I didn't... The words died in my throat as Mom's grip tightened on my arm. She's so modest, Mom announced to the crowd. Wouldn't even let me tell Brittany until today. Said it should be a surprise. A woman I vaguely recognized from Mom's church patted my shoulder. "You're such a blessing. No husband, no kids of your own. It must feel good to pour into family like this." I excused myself to the bathroom, but stopped at the kitchen table, where gift registry printouts were stacked beside a ledger. Mom's handwriting filled the pages. Catering, 4,200. Decorations, 1,800. Photographer, 2,500. My phone buzzed. A banking alert. Unusual activity detected. 16,847 withdrawn from linked account. The linked account. The one I'd opened in college when Mom co-signed my student loans. The one I'd forgotten to close because she'd promised to never touch it. Swore on Grandma's grave that those days were behind us. "Natalie?" A voice made me jump. Marcus Chen stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable in his bank uniform. We'd graduated high school together. "I wasn't sure if I should come, but your mom insisted. Said you specifically wanted me here since I helped with the withdrawal." "The withdrawal," I repeated. "Yeah, Tuesday morning. Your mom said you were in meetings all week and asked her to handle the party finances. I probably shouldn't have processed it without talking to you directly, but she had all the documentation and, well..." He shifted nervously. "It's family, right?" "Family, right." I became an actress that afternoon, smiling until my cheeks ached. When Brittany opened gifts, I sat beside her with the registry, checking off items with a purple pen. The same color I'd used for my childhood diary, the one Mom read aloud to her friends for laughs. "Oh my God, the Up-A-Baby stroller," Brittany squealed, pulling out a top-of-the-line system. "Nat, this is too much." "Nothing's too much for family," I heard myself say, the words automatic, hollow. Mom beamed from across the patio, raising her champagne glass. Real champagne, I noticed, not the Prosecco she usually bought. Dad worked the grill, wearing a new Weber apron. They looked happy, happier than I'd seen them in years. Between gift unwrapping, Dad pulled me aside. "Natty, I need to talk to you about an opportunity." My childhood nickname felt like sandpaper. "Not now, Dad. It's time sensitive. Your Uncle Pete in Houston has this crypto investment." "No, just hear me out. If we could get a small loan in your name..." I said no. His face darkened, the same expression he wore when I was 16, and refused to lie to the insurance company about who was driving when he hit the mailbox drunk. "You've gotten pretty high and mighty since that promotion." I escaped to the dessert table, where Brittany's mother-in-law was cutting a 3-tiered cake decorated with fondant baby shoes. Each slice probably cost more than my lunch budget for a week. "You're such a good cousin," she said, handing me a plate. "Brittany told me you two weren't even close growing up." We weren't. Brittany was the golden child, the one who got birthday parties while I got IOUs. But I smiled and nodded because what else could I do? Announce to 90 people that I'd been robbed? As the sun set, the photographer, whose website I'd glanced at on my phone, $500 an hour minimum, gathered everyone for group shots. "The generous aunt in the middle," he directed. I stood between my parents, their arms around me tight as shackles. The camera clicked, evidence of my generosity, my success, my stupidity. One more with just the parents-to-be and Auntie Nat. Brittany's husband Jake shook my hand. "Can't thank you enough. We were stressed about affording everything with the baby coming. And then your mom called with this miracle." Miracle. Is that what we were calling theft now? The party finally wound down at 8. I helped load gifts into Brittany's SUV, each box a reminder of money I'd never see again. Mom hugged me at my car, pressing a Tupperware of leftovers into my hands. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. "Giving back to family like this. It's what Grandma would have wanted." Grandma, who died with $300,000 in savings that mysteriously vanished before her will was read. Grandma, whose jewelry appeared in pawn shops across Denver. Yeah, this is exactly what she would have wanted. I didn't cry on the drive home. I didn't scream. I sat in traffic on I-25, calculating. $18,500. 6 months of savings goals obliterated. The vacation to Portugal I'd planned, gone. The emergency fund I'd carefully built, decimated. But more than money was stolen. They'd taken my moment, my promotion, my success, and transformed it into their party, their generosity, their gift. I was just the wallet. My apartment felt smaller when I walked in, the silence oppressive. I set the wine, my expensive, optimistic wine, on the counter and opened my laptop. First, I secured my accounts, changed passwords, removed authorized users, set up two-factor authentication. The linked account showed the carnage. 17 transactions over 5 days, each just under the amount that would trigger fraud alerts. Mom had learned. Next, I pulled up my financial records. Every loan since I started working at 16. The pattern was clear, documented in my obsessive spreadsheets. 340s for Dad's DUI fine, never repaid. 1,200 for Mom's credit card debt, promised to pay back within 6 months. $5,000 for their mortgage when Dad got laid off, still waiting, 7 years later. $2,800 for Brittany's first wedding, the marriage that lasted 8 months. Total, 47 cents. I'd been subsidizing their lives for 17 years, and what did I have to show for it? A rented apartment, a used Honda, and a family who saw me as an ATM with abandonment issues. My phone rang. Mom, sweetheart, I forgot to mention, some of the vendors need to be paid on Monday. I told them you'd handle it directly since it's your account. It's only another 2,000 or so. How did you access my account? My voice was calm, professional. The voice I used during audits. What do you mean? It's the joint account. You never told me not to use it. I never told you to use it either. Silence. Then, Natalie Marie Brooks, are you seriously grudging family? After everything we've done for you? What exactly have you done for me, Mom? We raised you, fed you, kept a roof over your head. The legal minimum. You're being dramatic. It's just money. You make plenty now. It's not about the money. Then what's it about? I stared at my reflection in the laptop screen. When had I gotten so tired? It's about the fact that you threw a party celebrating my success and made me pay for it. It's about you deciding how to spend my bonus without asking. It's about 17 years of taking and taking and taking. We're family. I hung up. The tears came then, hot and angry. I'd wanted so badly to believe things were different. That maybe, finally, I'd earned their respect along with that promotion. But I was still just the responsible one. The one who handled things. The one who paid. My phone buzzed with texts. Dad, your mother's crying. Fix this. Brittany, Aunt Linda said you're upset about the party. I'm sorry if it was too much. I can return some gifts. Unknown number. This is Jake. We didn't know you hadn't approved the expenses. We can help pay back. I turned off my phone and pulled up the property records for my parents' house. The one thing I'd done right, apparently, was agreeing to co-sign their refinance in 2020. Mom had said it was just paperwork, that my credit score would help them get a better rate. I was listed as 50% owner. Monday morning, I walked into Fairfield & Associates law firm with a folder containing 17 years of documentation. Patricia Fairfield, a sharp-eyed woman in her 60s, reviewed everything with the thoroughness of someone who'd seen too many family financial disasters. You have several options, she said, adjusting her glasses. The unauthorized withdrawals constitute fraud, even with a joint account. The property situation is more interesting. As co-owner, you can force a partition sale. I don't want to make them homeless. The words tasted bitter. Even now, I was protecting them. Then we leverage. Draft a repayment plan, remove your name from the property contingent on compliance, and file a civil suit that stays pending as long as they cooperate. I signed the papers with the same purple pen I'd used at the gender reveal. That afternoon, I met Mom at a Starbucks downtown. Neutral territory. She looked older in the harsh coffee shop lighting, her roots showing gray beneath the blonde dye. You look tired, she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled back. I have some documents for you to review. I slid the folder across the table. She laughed, nervous. What is this, a business meeting? Yes. The laugh died as she opened the folder. I watched her face cycle through confusion, disbelief, and finally, rage. You're suing us? Only if you don't comply with the repayment terms. $500 a month for the party expenses, documentation of all historical loans to be addressed separately, and mandatory family therapy. Therapy? She spat the word like profanity. You think we're crazy? I think we're broken. My voice cracked. I think you see me as a resource, not a daughter. I think Dad's gambling and drinking have warped your sense of normal. I think you've been taking from me for so long, you don't even see it as taking anymore. This is about that party. Brittany needed parents who could throw their own party, not a cousin who gets ambushed and robbed. Mom's hands shook as she lit a cigarette, ignoring the no smoking signs. You'd really sell our house? Put your parents on the street? You'd really steal $18,000 from your daughter? It wasn't stealing, we're family. Then act like it. Sign the papers, Mom, or I'll file the lawsuit tomorrow. She signed with angry slashes, tears smearing her mascara. Your grandmother would be ashamed. My grandmother's money disappeared the day after her funeral. Want to talk about shame? The family explosion was immediate and nuclear. My phone became a battlefield of accusations, pleas, and threats. Dad left a voicemail calling me a ungrateful bitch who forgot where she came from. Aunts and uncles chose sides. Cousins whispered at family gatherings I no longer attended. But Brittany's text surprised me. Can we talk, in person? We met at a park near my apartment. She looked different without the flower crown and spotlight. Younger, more vulnerable. Her husband Jake stood by their car, giving us space but staying visible. Protection or witness, I wasn't sure. I didn't know. She started, hands twisting over her belly. About the money, the ambush, any of it. Mom said you'd volunteered, that you wanted to surprise me. Would it have mattered if you'd known? She was quiet for a long moment. When I was 12, you taught me to budget. Remember? You gave me that little notebook and showed me how to track my allowance. I'd forgotten. It was during one of Dad's unemployment stretches, when I was managing the household at 17. I still have it, she continued, pulling out a worn purple notebook. My teenage handwriting filled the first pages. You wrote your money, your choices on the cover. I never forgot that. She opened to a recent page, calculations for baby expenses, payment plans, Jake's overtime hours. We didn't need that party. We needed family, sure, but not that. Then why didn't you say something? Same reason you didn't stop it during the party. When Aunt Linda gets going, who can stand up to her? She paused. Except you. You finally did. Jake approached then, holding an envelope. We know it won't cover everything, but we want to start paying you back. $500 now, and we can do $200 a month until... Keep it. The words surprised me. Buy diapers. Or save it for emergencies. Real ones. Brittany hugged me then, tight and desperate. I'm sorry you had to be the grown-up for everyone. I'm sorry you thought a big party mattered more than having family who respects you. She pulled back, eyes wet. Will you? When the baby comes, will you still want to meet him? As his cousin, not his bank. 2 weeks later, an envelope appeared under my apartment door. Mom's handwriting, shaky but legible. Natalie, I went to therapy like you demanded. The therapist asked when I started seeing you as a parent instead of my child. I couldn't answer. I remember when you were 7, counting my tips from waitressing to make sure we had enough for groceries. You looked so serious, like a tiny adult. I thought I was teaching you responsibility. I was teaching you that you didn't deserve to be a child. The first payment is enclosed. It's not enough. It will never be enough. Mom, inside was a check for $500 and something else. A photo I'd never seen. Me at 7, asleep at the kitchen table, my head pillowed on a stack of bills I'd been organizing. I taped it to my bathroom mirror. A reminder. 6 months later, I signed the lease on a condo with a view of the mountains. The seller, noting my excellent credit and stable income, threw in the washer and dryer. You remind me of my daughter, she said. Self-made. It shows. Self-made. The words followed me as I unpacked boxes in my new space. My space. With my name on the lease. Bought with my money. No co-signers. No joint accounts. No financial entanglements. I'd establish new boundaries with surgical precision. A dedicated family assistance budget, $200 monthly, distributed at my discretion. No access to my address without explicit invitation. Financial discussions only in writing, documented and agreed upon. Therapy attendance verification required for any assistance. The family pushback was fierce. "You've become cold," Aunt Patricia informed me at a cousin's graduation I actually chose to attend. "That job changed you." "No," I corrected, sipping water while others drank wine I hadn't paid for. "The job showed me I have value beyond what I can provide." Dad had entered rehab, court-ordered after another DUI, but progress nonetheless. His letters arrived weekly, part of his making amends process. I read them but didn't respond. Not yet. Mom kept her therapy appointments and her payment schedule. Our interactions were formal, careful. The therapist said trust would take time. I said trust might never come. Both could be true. The surprise was Marcus Chen, the banker who'd processed Mom's withdrawal. He reached out 3 months after the party, professionally at first. New security measures at the bank, additional protections for linked accounts. Then coffee to discuss financial planning. Then dinner to discuss everything else. I should have stopped it, he admitted over Thai food. I knew something felt off. You couldn't have known. I knew you, though. The girl who balanced her lunch account in 5th grade, who asked about compound interest at career day. You'd never hand over that much money without being there yourself. We started meeting regularly. Not dating, just existing in the same space. He understood money trauma, growing up with parents who'd lost everything in bad investments. We swapped stories like other people traded baseball cards. Brittany had her baby on a Tuesday morning. She texted me from the hospital. Theodore Marcus Brooks Patterson, 7 Albs 2 OZ. Want to meet him? I brought a sensible gift, diapers and a savings bond, and held my nephew for the first time. He was wrinkled and perfect, untouched by family dysfunction. I'm setting up his college fund next week, Brittany whispered. In his name only. No one else gets access. Your money, your choices, I said, and she smiled through her tears. The moment shattered when Mom walked in, freezing at the sight of me. We hadn't spoken outside of therapy correspondence in months. I didn't know you'd be here, she said carefully. Brittany invited me. That's good, family should be here. We stood on opposite sides of the hospital bed, the baby between us like a tiny mediator. Mom looked older, softer somehow. The therapy was working, or exhaustion was winning. Maybe both. He's beautiful, she offered. He is. Brittany says you bought him a savings bond. For his future. His choice what to do with it. Mom nodded slowly. That's smart. You were always smart about money. I had to be. The words hung between us, years of weight in 3 syllables. Mom's face crumpled slightly, then reformed. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry I made you have to be. It wasn't enough. It might never be enough. But it was a start. Thanksgiving arrived with its usual emotional landmines. For the first time in my adult life, I had choices. Mom had invited me to their traditional gathering, Brittany was hosting a small dinner, and Marcus had offered his family's celebration. I chose all 3 in careful doses. Breakfast with Brittany, Jake, and baby Theo. Their apartment smelled like cinnamon rolls and formula. Brittany had dark circles under her eyes but smiled genuinely when I arrived with homemade cranberry sauce. You came, she said like she'd expected me to vanish. I said I would. That doesn't always mean much in this family. We ate quietly while Theo slept in his swing. Jake showed me their budget board. My purple notebook system evolved into a full financial planning center. They were saying no to things, living within means, breaking cycles. We're thinking of moving, Brittany admitted. Somewhere fresh. Colorado Springs, maybe. Jake got a job offer. That's brave. That's you. You showed me brave looks like boundaries. Lunch was with Marcus's family. Warm and chaotic in the best way. His mother pressed seconds on me while his father explained cryptocurrency badly, but earnestly. No one asked me for money. No one expected me to handle anything. I was just Natalie, Marcus's friend, eating too much stuffing. You look relaxed, Marcus noted, walking me to my car. I'm practicing. Being relaxed? Being a person, not a function. He understood. That was the gift of him. Understanding without requiring explanation. Dinner at my parents' house was the final test. I arrived at 6 sharp, boundaries intact. 2 hours maximum. My own car. An exit strategy. The house smelled the same. Turkey and cigarette smoke and Mom's perfume. But something was different. The dining room table, usually cluttered with bills and lottery tickets, was cleared and set with Grandma's china. You came, Mom said, echoing Brittany's earlier surprise. I said I would. Dad emerged from the kitchen, sober, wearing an apron. Natalie, thanks. Dinner was careful. Conversations staying on safe ground. The weather, the Broncos' losing streak, Theo's first smile. No one asked for money. No one mentioned the lawsuit still pending, the payments being made, the therapy reshaping our definitions of family. Until dessert, when Mom set down a pie and cleared her throat. I need to say something. She looked at Dad, who nodded. We've been thinking about selling the house. My spine straightened. Oh? It's too big for us. And with the market, we could downsize, pay off debts, start fresh. Including what you owe me? Especially that. Mom's voice was steady. The realtor thinks we could clear everything and have enough for a small condo. Free and clear. I processed this. They were choosing to sell rather than being forced. Choosing to repay rather than being sued. It was progress. I'll sign off on the sale, I said finally. But I want the repayment handled through Patricia's office. Of course. And therapy continues. Yes. We ate pie in silence that wasn't quite comfortable, but wasn't hostile either. When I left, Mom hugged me at the door, tentative, asking permission with her posture. I allowed it, briefly. That therapist, she said into my shoulder. She asked if I loved you or if I loved what you could do for me. I pulled back, meeting her eyes. I'm learning the difference, she finished. Driving home to my condo, I thought about family, not the one assigned by blood, but the one built through choices. Brittany choosing accountability. Marcus choosing patience. Even my parents, finally choosing change. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from my investment advisor. Portfolio review scheduled for Monday. You're on track for all financial goals. My goals, my track, my choices. The mountains were purple in the evening light, solid and enduring. I was learning to be the same. Not everyone's foundation, but my own. Not the family bank, but Natalie Brooks, 33 years old, valuable for who I was, not what I could provide. It wasn't the family I'd dreamed of as a child, counting Mom's tips at the kitchen table. But it was real, and it was mine, and that was enough. For now, that was everything.